outside with oil paints, completely outside
your
of my element. But here I'm standing there with all these wonderful painters, and this young couple came riding around on their bike, and they sat there and they watched, as people do when you're plein air painting, and I was totally a fish out of water, and just painting and painting, and the gentleman came back and said to me, "May I buy your painting?"
Marcia Ballou, thank you for coming by. I'm excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we've had an exciting morning already. We've been chatting up a storm since you got here. We took a look downstairs. We're running out of paintings on the wall.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled, surprised and thrilled.
Yeah, you said you thought they were when I told you we'd sold 4, you thought they were the little ones?
The little, I call them the little brights.
Yep.
And so I thought, oh, well, 4 in one day, that's the little brights.
Yep.
So that's really, really exciting. I'm honored. I'm thrilled.
So,
it's
yeah.
really a pleasure to sell.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, you've been at this for a while, so you are no stranger to selling artwork.
No, but still, it's it's why we do it, or an artist makes the art so that it makes its way into people's lives, their homes, so that it's seen. It's a big part of the process, and that process is enhanced by what you do here, by your help of framing it and making sure that people know about us. But it's why we do it. That's part of my. I don't imagine people seeing the art while I'm making the art, but as soon as a piece of art is finished, I envision it going away from me. Yeah. And many times I miss the pieces, but I envision it going into someone's home, and I do hope that that's where they end up. And so when that is successful, the art is
They're like it's like children. You're sending them out into the world, right?
Right. But once again, it's really important not to think about that part of it while it's being created. I think it's important to the creative process to just make it as a part of myself, and then when I'm finished with that, then it goes.
So you have to learn to let go, right?
Yes, and also to concentrate on the creative part of art while you're making it. It's kind of it's one of the things that I had to learn while I was honing my skills and learning how to make my art, was that it needed to be myself as long as it possibly could be, from beginning to end.
Yep.
And then let it go. So it's just like, oh my gosh, it's going. So it's really exciting.
Now you are from California originally? So when did you come to Marshfield?
We moved here 31 years ago.
Okay.
So
yeah, when I look at the colors in your work, it has that I don't know, maybe it's because I already I know you had some time in California, but it definitely, that palette feels like it's come over from the brightness.
I think so. I think so. I think that I grew up there on the coast and in the Bay Area, and I think that the California art scene and being going to college in California and being a part of that just locked in that color theory. I also studied color theory, so from Wayne Thiebaud and Hilda Pertha, and I think that is there. I mean, that's how I learned the art of it and the color theory and the brightness of it. But it's definitely, I'm a California girl in my soul. So.
Well, I also love the thing on the website that says that, you're doing it to invoke joy and make people happy. And I think that the colors, again, those bright colors that has that light, happy, feel to it. And those people that picked up the 4 paintings, they're going to have something to that they're going to walk past and they're going to smile when they see it. And that's
I
pretty
think
cool.
That's what I want when people look at it, to say, oh, that the little color combination or or just the whole feeling when they walk by. They just kind of feel that, oh, that's just lovely.
Yep.
And I like that myself when I pushing the papers around or looking at the pots of paint, and I just like seeing it all myself. And it's like, and then when a painting's done and it's in one of your frames, and I look at it and I think, oh, that works. That's lovely. So I'm very thrilled that I'm at this point in my life where I can just sit down and make these. It's really exciting.
Are you working in the studio on them pretty much every day?
Yeah, I don't work every day. I collect information. I paint all the papers. So the preparation for making the art is almost as extensive as actually sitting down and doing the piece. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, right now I'm working on a big painting that I was commissioned to do for Stanford Children's Hospital in California.
Nice.
So once again, a piece is making its way to California, which is really exciting for me.
Yep.
And it's a big floral piece, but all the paper needed to be painted. The board needed to be painted, and I start with a sketch, particularly if I'm making a commission. Mm-hmm. Most big commissions need to be sketched out.
Yep.
And so I draw a little sketch, and it's rough, but it's there, and then I put that away, and then I start painting all the papers. And then I start with a big board. This one's 60 by 48, and I paint the board with very little in mind of what's going to go on top of it. Yep. It's more the atmosphere, the light, and I use spray paint, scratched on, acrylic splashed. I use scrub brushes. I just create this part. And with the bigger pieces, I work quite a while on that. So it ends up looking like a big abstract painting. And then I slowly start cutting out all the pieces, and they go together on top of the board like a jigsaw puzzle. Yep. They're all loose, and so I just keep moving them around until I find a place for those pieces, and I start gluing them down. And then as I'm gluing them down, there's a kind of a organic process that comes. I just kind of keep moving it and moving it and moving it until it stays in place, and then I walk away from it.
Yep.
And then, regrettably, I've learned to make all of it stick. I have to take it all off. I have to remove it completely from the board. And so I set aside all the glue, all the paper, everything. And so I have all these little stacks, sometimes little teeny tiny pieces all around this great big board. And I put it back together. I put a layer of glue, a medium down first, and then start applying all the pieces, and then it's a secondary jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah. Now, are you doing that from memory, or you snap some? Yeah.
I do snap a photograph.
Yeah.
I do, but at some point I stop looking at it.
Yep.
I don't know where it happens, but it becomes. I do have that, but I stop looking at it, and so now it just becomes part of the series of process paintings, that original photograph. And sometimes I look back at it and say, how far did I deviate? Yeah. Sometimes I really do. But I almost never add any more painted paper to that collection. Rarely do I go back to my box of paper and say, oh, I need more of this. So it's, in that respect, it stays, but things do move around. For instance, this flower these might have been in a different spot, or this flower may have moved. I can't remember just exactly how this one worked.
Yeah, those seem like a lot of, tough ones to get them right back in the exact spot, right?
And it's sticky and it's gluey, and you kind of have to kind of go with the flow and just get lost in it. And the bigger the paintings are, the more it happens. So once everything's glued down, then I go back in with paint again.
Are the bigger ones easier to manage because you can use larger pieces of paper and things, or
Sometimes
not
yes, and
necessarily?
sometimes no.
Yeah.
It's sometimes the little ones are tricky, just because the composition, you know, just because it's collage or because it's done with kind of a spontaneous, in memory kind of, memory reference opposed to a photo reference. It's still, composition still is really important to me, and so where that chunk of red ends up sitting, or a piece of white, is important to me. So I think that's probably the hardest. The smaller the painting, I think the harder it is to get that right. And big pieces of paper are tricky with collage. They can wrinkle, they can buckle, all those parts of it.
So you just have, Dina had mentioned that she'd been to a workshop and that there was just containers of different items, and it must be something to see the
I have
studio.
a big a wall about this big, full of shelves. It's like one of those IKEA square shelf setups, and they're full of bins. And at some point, everything is labeled green, yellow, pink. Everything's very organized. It takes about, like, for instance, the piece that I'm working on right now, it took about an hour for that to be no longer organized.
Yeah. So there's a lot of...
So every once in a while I do line up all the paints and by value or by hue, and all the pieces of paper or by color, but it doesn't stay very long. It doesn't last very long. Brushes by size, all those things, the highly organized things, and it's just it goes into chaos very fast.
Now, how do you decide on some of the, sometimes there's paper and then there's some stitching and like other items, there's just kind of...
There was a time when I would combine all of it, the fabric, the paper, and I would work them all together. Over the past several years, I've made the fabric and the stitching one thing, and the paper and the mediums another. I found that it was more satisfying to stay with the collages and work on museum board and have everything very organized that way. And then the stitching, which I approach exactly the same way as the collages, bags of different colors of scraps, threads, organized exactly the same way. It's kind of starting from an organic spot, an idea, to maybe on a corner of the painting, and sometimes I start with a sketch, but with the stitching it really is just pick a color and go with it. And so the approach is the same, but the stitching is the stitching, no glue, and the collages are now just the collages, so they're separate. So it's but the very similar approach. The collages take anywhere from a week to a month to do each one, or they and the smaller ones I can pull together a little quicker. The stitching can take anywhere from a month to 6 months to do. So it's a much slower.
Depends on what kind of mood you're in.
Yeah, how long I can sit there and work with the stitching. It's little needles, little pieces, so it takes a while. The collages, sometimes that I have my favorite pieces and my favorite colors, like many artists, and so I can just kind of pull those together and make a pleasing piece, kind of fun and quick. Others take hours and hours and hours to do. So are you a couple other questions. Are you, like, when you're looking at the papers, like, you just, like, is that like a thing you're on the, like, a search for, or you're like making like handmade papers too? I don't make handmade paper, but I do printing, and a lot of these papers I use a student, my favorite paper these days, could change, is a student grade rice paper that people learn how to do calligraphy on. It has a lovely weight to it. When the gel mediums are added to it, it essentially disappears. So a brush stroke or a jelly print on it, depending on the weight of the paper, I can put watercolors on it and seal it with mediums. The paper essentially disappears. So onto the board with the bright colors behind it. When I put them on the board, on just a whiteboard, you can see all the edges of the paper. But if I cut it in a certain way, it just disappears. And so it's great to use for white. The paper just, it looks like it's been painted on, opposed to cut out. A piece of paper has been cut out. So I enjoy doing that. So I have solid pieces of the rice paper that I've painted, just solid, which is where most of the white comes from in the paintings. And then I use monoprints or jelly plates with lots of different layers, and it just
there's a lot of texture in there. And do you find that when things are on display that people want to like get up there and put their hands on it?
I think they want to touch it and figure out which is paint and which is paper. And I think it's surprising to them how much is paper. When you run your hand over it, suddenly you can feel it, though there are about four layers of a gel medium over the top, which makes it just solidly strong collage. So when I first started doing collage, I put them behind glass because I was afraid of the integrity of all the paper that was on them, or the different pieces of lace or sensitive rice papers I'd use. I wasn't sure just exactly what the mediums would do over time. And then I've learned that particularly with the golden acrylic mediums and the sealing processes that they've evolved with over the 30 years that I've been using their products, that they're very sound paintings without having to put glass on them. So that's been kind of fun to explore too.
Cool. And then when you are working on a commission like the one you have for the hospital, is that like you'll do some sketches and you guys will work kind of come up with a concept of what they want?
Yes, they contacted me, like with all things, kind of with an artist, it kind of feels like out of the blue. And it was a broker that was brokering the art, or the collector for the hospital. It wasn't the hospital directly. And they asked me for a painting. They were looking at my website and they saw paintings that they liked, and they wanted some version of that, but large. And so they wanted sketches. And so I just do little thumbnail sketches because there isn't any way I can sketch what the ultimate painting is going to end up like. It just isn't the essence of my work. I can't do that, but I can give them an idea. 12 butterflies, white, pink. I can put color swatches together and give them that. And so this particular commission that I'm just beginning took 2 years of conversations.
Okay. Is that enjoyable, or is that like a burden as an artist?
Well, once I do a sketch, that painting is in my head. So this painting has just been sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting to get out. And every once in a while I think, I'm just going to do it. And then if they want it, great. If they don't, and then it's, no, that's not what I should do. I should wait and save it. So finally, out of the blue, a deposit came, and so I emailed them and said, so is this a go, or is this for real? And so, yes.
Well, that's an interesting thing to think about too, like, because you have it in your head and you want to do it, but I guess you owe them something, right? Because
I owe the painting to them.
Because the conversations and the back and forth of the sketches. So
it's theirs.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, until a few weeks ago, it wasn't theirs, but I knew that I was hoping that someday it would be theirs, and so now it's theirs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you got to give them a certain. If they didn't reach out to you, you'd probably have to do it at some point, right?
Yeah. If another year went by, I think I'd have to just do that painting.
Yeah. Then you could send them a picture and say thanks for inspiring this.
Yeah,
it ended up at this other place.
Yeah. This is what you could have had.
Yeah.
But it's a long process, particularly when an artist is commissioned to do a piece of art for a building that's yet to be built, or art that's being purchased to be a part of a concept, and so they're building spaces around the art that's going there.
Yeah.
So that's very, very exciting.
No, that is awesome, and I'm sure it'll be worth a trip out to see it and hang in there.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing some,
seeing
how it turns out.
Yeah, well, it will definitely come here because you and Mark cut them down and put the back on it, and so
mostly Mark.
It'll come here before.
I'm excited that we'll get to see it
before it heads on out.
No, I mean, that's a nice thing about this business for us too, is just to be a part of, be a part of it, and be seeing all these fantastic artists, and making the frames, or being a part of that final touch of now the painting is done, it's got a frame on it, and it's going out. It's a pleasure.
Oh, well, thank you for all of it. And so I was thinking about the friends that we have, and the artists, and the people that continually inspire me, and it just didn't happen yesterday.
Yep.
It's 30. I moved down here 32 years ago, and those people, the artists that I've met along the way, have inspired me, and so boom, 30 years, and it feels like just yesterday in many instances.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. I feel when we were on the board together at North River. I mean, what was that? That's got to be like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's, and that was a great experience for me, as well. I mean, I'm not producing artwork like you are, but, just meeting all of these fantastic artists, and really like immersing myself in, the store and this art community was, and that's a fantastic organization, and there's so many fantastic organizations around here, and fantastic artists.
It's quite an undertaking, and artists can't create art without all of the support around them. I mean, many of us work like I do, very much alone. I do it all kind of with myself, by myself, but I'm very much aware that the quality of art and the support around me is necessary. I love seeing what everyone else is doing, and for instance, the support that you give to artists is key to what we do. It's very key.
Well, it's fun, and I'm fortunate. I've ended up with a lot of great artwork, and got to form a lot of like great relationships with people that are, doing positive things. I mean, bringing evoking joy. That's I mean, getting to touch that and put our fingerprints on some of those things is really cool and rewarding too.
Yes, and invaluable. Just can't say more of the whole community, all the art organizations, the volunteers of those art organizations that start artists off. You think about, for instance, North River, their programming allows artists to be taught how to create something, and then gives them the opportunity to put it on their walls.
Yep.
And then maybe even find a way that it becomes just a part of everything, their very fiber, and they become artists, like an incubator, all these little incubators all over the place, and suddenly and we appear, and I feel like I've I'm one of those that came out of all of that. The art organizations and the support and the joy that we all have making art together.
Well, 31 years you must have seen seen it evolve some too, right?
Yes.
I mean, South Shore was always been there, right?
Yep.
So, and North River has been.
They've been there quite a while, 50 plus years.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're seeing it evolve and like the new artists, and I always like thinking about the people who've taught there and like how their students, and I've talked to numerous teachers and see how well their students are doing, and their students are now teaching there.
Yep. They've become and new art organizations have appeared. Plymouth.
Yeah,
that's
great
fabulous down there.
Yep.
And great support from the community and great gallery spaces and the libraries and just
the James is fantastic. You had a nice exhibit there, and just seeing talented people like Bill being over there, with all his knowledge and like making that library just like a great place to see art too.
The James has been really important to me. 9, maybe 10 years ago, Lisa was the director before Bill Hauser, and she invited me to do a little show, and I was thrilled. And it was probably the first time that I was given a show of just my work that I was able to build completely from scratch and create this show. It was very exciting for me, and it made a difference. It gave me, in this special little building downstairs, it gave me, after 20 plus years of trying to make something of my art, it gave me the confidence to say, oh, this is what I'm doing.
Yep.
And it was just kind of a little special moment, but boy, that little special moment created, confidence to go forward and make it like, I can do this.
That's awesome. And I'm sure that for Lisa and for like everybody at the James, it's nice to hear something like that and know that they were a part of your journey.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
And then
fun that you went full circle, right?
And then 8 years later to go back and do it again, where they've remodeled the gallery space into an exquisite little space that's beautifully lit, and the color of white is just perfection. I mean, just this lovely, lovely little space, and to fill it up with my paintings was really exciting.
Yeah, no, it showed your paintings like they were meant for that room.
Yeah, it was
the white walls, the nice wood floors, and then just all this bright, fun color.
And I said to Bill, is it okay that if I don't really fit on your walls? Yeah. I said, how are we going to do this? Because the molding and whatnot. And I said, can I just give you my art and have it just really fill up the walls opposed to fit on the walls?
Yeah.
He said, I think that would be quite nice. And so it was successful to go floor to ceiling with
they were
paintings.
big, but it was it really worked. And
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that one was great, and they do, he's doing such a great job over there, and the Girls Just Want a Paint show was awesome. There's other things that he has in the works over there, and just a knowledgeable guy.
Very, very, and he also was at South Shore, and South Shore Art is another place that's different, but at the same time very, they're gallery artists, the support of their arts. They also have a festival, just very artist in residence work there.
Do you have some ties to South Shore too?
Yep, I was an artist in residence there a couple of years ago, and worked a year every Wednesday with 50 kids.
Yeah, that must have been
fun.
And
it was just really rewarding, and to have children come and look at my art, and we did fun projects, and and to be a one of many artists in residence that they had for the community. And it's a schools can sign up for Wednesday for I think it's 3 hours from all over the South Shore. And so I think there's second and third graders. They come on buses. 50 of them come storming in, ready for action.
Yeah.
And so, in my case, we painted butterflies and bugs.
Did you do a lot of the collage stuff too?
We did. With tissue paper.
Yep.
And so the tissue paper, when it got wet, bleeds. So they got color, and it was just a lot of fun. But I followed in footsteps of like Lisa Gorn and Sally Dean, and just like Karen Cass.
Yep.
And just really great artists were also there, and it just was a great experience. So each organization offers artists different things.
Yeah, no, they're all a crucial. It's great. I think it's a great community. There's up and coming ones too, like these smaller groups, and you hope that they build up and become even better.
Right.
You got Duxbury. The art complex is
the art
amazing.
complex is unique into itself.
Yeah,
like a gem.
And you have is the piece still on the barn there too?
Yes.
Is that part of the permanent collection?
Yes.
It is.
Oh no. Well, it's permanent. Yes and no. Mm-hmm. They commissioned me to do it, and so that painting eventually will make its way back to me. Mm-hmm. I think, but it's been there. It's been there for a while, and that was a fun project to do because I worked. They invited me to put the big painting on the wall. It's 10 by 12 feet, mm-hmm. and I created it there outside in situ. So every day I would go there and paint a collage under the tree and keep putting the collage together, and I did a mural mm-hmm. that lives outside with rice paper, just like this, but it's living outside. So that was pretty.
Yeah, it must be a lot of medium over it, right?
Yes.
To keep that from.
And lots of calls to Golden Paint saying, "Are you sure?" Because this is going outside,
yep.
And so Golden Paint was extremely helpful in creating that.
That's fun too. I never think about that. You can pick up a phone and they have people you can talk to, and they'll walk you through. Yeah.
Yes.
Assure you things.
Yes, I had a situation where I ran into a technical error on a painting that I couldn't just disregard, and I had to go back. Mm-hmm. And so I called them and I said, I need help with this. So we FaceTimed, and the technician there with FaceTime watched me work through the repair and fix he spent hours with me.
Yep.
And basically said, no, do it this way. And he was absolutely amazing.
Well, that's a good reason to be loyal to a brand, right?
Loyal to a brand. And they stay very, very competitive. And mm-hmm. And they helped me. They would help anyone. It doesn't matter if you're.
Yeah, you don't have to be a superstar like yourself.
I'm not a superstar. No, they answer the phone.
Yep.
And that's, you go through, you email them, but I have never not inquired without getting an immediate answer.
That's interesting to know. Just another thing you never really think about. In all my time buying paint and this and that, just looking at colors, but you don't really think that there's a team behind the brand.
Saying, well, use this paint, yep. Or if you use this paint, then you need to do it this way. Mm-hmm. And I think as a result, paint companies, as being user friendly, have developed paints that now you can buy student paint, professional grade, or students can get their hands on really good products. And
yep.
In the years that I taught, I did say that you never know when you're going to make something absolutely marvelous. So just bite the bullet and use the good stuff.
Yeah, no, that's
so
good
that
advice.
10 years from now, you still have it.
Yep.
It's really nice. But communities who support the arts have a gem, and it's really important to our community to have art in the community, whether it be drama, paintings, children's art, festivals, because it gives a sparkle to the community. And I think it's one of those special things that if it went away, you'd miss it, and you don't realize what you have when it's one of those little icing on the cake.
Yeah.
That you don't really notice, but it's really valuable.
No, I think it is, and I think that, I mean, that's part of our mission here, is just to make sure that people are aware of some of these great artists, and to, make sure that, people understand how to buy art, and that by buying art, it's an investment in your community, investment in like happiness in a sense, and having like important things on your wall that like have a story behind them, like you look at this painting, and then you're taught, whoever buys those paintings, having the opportunity to like, tell that story about how they met you or who you are. It's like you're, a part of you is then in their home, and hopefully it's,
and like to discover this week that an individual came into your store and saw the paintings, and have it be someone say, "Oh, we just have to have those in our home." That is absolutely astonishingly cool.
Yeah.
It's like, really? It's just is like, golly, that's just so cool.
Yeah, just seeing the excitement on your face is awesome, and it, I'm sure it never gets old, right?
No, it never gets old, and to have someone just say they really want it. And there was at the James, the show 9-10 years ago, there was a little butterfly painting. It was probably not butterfly, hummingbird painting. That was probably 10 by 10.
Yep.
And it was hung in the stairway, which is still to this day paneled dark wood, and it was tucked there. I'm not really sure why, but that little painting was just there.
Yeah.
And a woman walked in to the library and looked down the stairs and saw it, and it just touched her. She just had to have that painting. She didn't know she was going to see a painting. She wasn't going to go see Marcia's paintings. She just walked in to maybe get a book or do something in the little space, and she wanted the painting. And she got my phone number and said, I really, really would like to have that painting. And I said, well, you can.
You certainly buy it.
You certainly. And so she was surprised that she could just buy it.
Yep.
And then she really, really wanted it. And I said, so why don't you just go in and you can purchase it and tell them that I said it's okay, that if you take it. As it turns out, she had lost a child. And that painting, that hummingbird in the painting just kind of clicked, just had it in there. And all my answers that day were to her fulfilling something. I had no idea what. And you just never know when a bright color or a bright little moment will really, really, really help someone, or just be perfect for that moment. And so as an artist, you just kind of say, okay, I'm going to sit here and do this, and that's...
No, that's awesome. It's a rewarding experience, and I think people just need to be aware of, that they can buy art, that they should have things on their wall that are important to them. It's fun.
Special.
Yeah, and now when, like you have a story on that painting too, about how it touched the person. Do you have, you like to know where everything ends up and kind of keep a relationship with the people that buy?
I like to send notes to people. I keep track. I do keep a list, so every time I do something, I send them. I don't really have an email list. I send them a card or something. Another cute, fun story. I was years ago, 25 years ago, I was taking a class with Lois Griffel. She was an artist from Provincetown, and painting plein air, which I am not a plein air painting, but she's a lovely person, and it was through North River, and I wanted to support a workshop, so we were painting down in Scituate at Mill Wharf, and I was painting outside with oil paints, completely outside of my element. But here I'm standing there with all these wonderful painters, and this young couple came riding around on their bike, and they sat there and they watched, as people do when you're plein air painting, and I was totally a fish out of water, and just painting and painting, and the gentleman came back and said to me, "May I buy your painting?" And, I said, "Sure, I guess." Yeah. It's just, it's really, I'm not sure if it's even any good. And here's this famous painter. Yeah. I'm standing right next to painting. And we were painting for years. There's been 3 fishing boats in Scituate Harbor that are red, green, and blue. Okay. They're right, if you look out the window at Mill Wharf, those fishing vessels have been right there. Yep. And so we were painting those boats, and and I kind of threw the garbage cans, if you can picture where I'm standing. And so he came back and said, would you like to buy the painting? And I said, he would like to buy the painting, and I said, sure. Yep. And so they did, and it needed to dry, so I delivered it to them. And I kept, over the years, I would mail them things or drop things off at their house and whatnot. So at the James show this past summer, this couple came in and they said, "I don't know if you remember us, but 25 years ago we bought a painting off the easel at Mill Wharf."
That's awesome.
And they said, and it's like a treasure in our house. We love the painting. And we've been following you. We've just never got a situation where we could actually see you again. Yeah. And it turns out they live right down the street over there. And they said, well, we knew we would see you one way or another, even if we had to stalk the James Library. Yeah. We knew that you would be driving in. And it was just such a wonderful thing that years later they had been following me and then bought another painting. So in their home they have what I evolved to, and that little painting is still a treasured piece because they saw it that day and bought it.
That's a fantastic story. Yeah, it's and it's inspiring and nice to see how excited you are to tell it.
It was a lot of fun. The funny part was the original house that I delivered the little boat painting to, they moved out of that house many.
So you've been leaving stuff for somebody else?
They were like, who is this kooky artist that keeps... Yeah. And then they told me that the house has sold multiple times. Yeah. So it's not just another family that... So, every time I do something, I leave it, in their back door. So who is this?
Yeah, that's wild.
So maybe, who knows? Maybe that person is someday someone will say to me, you've been leaving stuff at our back door for 25 years. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah. No,
I'll stop doing that now that I know that they don't live there.
Yeah, well, who knows? I mean, you could
now that I have their correct address.
You could have been soliciting, who knows how many paintings you sold to that house,
Yeah, well, hopefully they tell me, they say, well, we've been getting your postcards. Yeah. We didn't know why, but now we do. So
yeah, that must have been a really fun experience to have those people come up to you.
To come to the opening at the James and say, we're these people, and have them say, and we want this. We want one of your new paintings to go in their new home. It was exciting. It was fun.
That James show was a pretty good success.
Yes. Again. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so just stuff's all over the place. We were talking earlier about that hospital, and you had the show at Children's with Christina.
With Christina, and that was just a whole another.
I can see your stuff doing, in the hospitals and just having giving people, hope and happiness, in people in tough situations.
I got the most because their technology now allows individuals to scan the QR codes, and there was one there. So they were able to, individuals visiting the hospital could contact me through Instagram or instant messaging. And so I would get these very touching, wonderful little notes from people saying that on their way to the elevator to visit or be with their child, or or we were there for an appointment, and they'd send me pictures of the little one in front of the painting, or to be told that a bright painting gave them hope or joy in a horrendous situation. It was very, very touching, and I'm honored that a couple of those paintings ended up in the children's permanent collection.
That's awesome. I mean, and I think people forget that too. You don't necessarily even have to buy paintings to support the arts. You can take a class. You can just tell somebody how great their painting is, or pay someone a compliment, or a thank you for for having your pieces painting there.
Those thank yous are as maybe even more valuable than an actual purchase.
Yeah.
Just
inspires.
Just to say that it inspires or gives the painting, the little thing that I say I say it, and it's because I never want it to sound not sincere, but I do say that my main goal to make a painting, that when it's all said and done, is it to be joyful, to evoke joy. And so when someone actually sends me something out of the blue, like a father going to sit with his very ill child, sends me a text or an email saying, this painting every morning gave me hope and joy, it's just okay.
Yeah,
thank you very. That's all that's necessary.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else do you need to hear? I mean, I have, it's great, and I think that people, should speak up too when they see things that they like, telling people that they like it, and, I mean, who knows? I mean, someone that's new to painting gets, inspired to do more. I know when I get thank you notes for things like for helping support organizations, and when people reach out about Free Frame Friday and it just makes me want to do more, because I want more. Selfishly want more thank yous.
Yes, thank yous are really a really good thing.
Yeah,
they are. They enrich by saying thank you. It enriches the person, but giving a thank you is just a really valuable gift to give. It's just really nice to get it, and so I've been honored, and I treasure those. I treasure just about I treasure every thank you that I get, and I love it when someone says, I saw your work and it was just so cool to see it. How did you do that?
Yeah.
So
that's great. And I think that you can tell that the artwork has this fun, happy, joyful feeling to it, and I think that it fits your personality that you're producing those, and it's awesome to see people ending up with that part of you in their house.
Yeah, I'm honored. I'm honored to be an artist.
Well, I'm excited that we've been able to have some of your stuff downstairs. I mean, the people, obviously, they're disappearing quickly. But the response is always great. People love them, and people have, commented that they've taken workshops from you and they've seen your stuff. So
well, thank you for having them here. It was just really, really kind of not kind of. It was just, I was really thrilled when I could hang some art here. It just feels right.
Well, we're getting there. I mean, the space is, I mean, people come in because they have stuff to frame, but, seeing art and, inspiring people and, giving some of our customers a chance to display stuff as well that, it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, no-brainer. It's like, it's, and to just to the, how my paintings evolved, how helpful you have all been here to what kind of boards I put them on and how they're backed. And, many of my paintings come here, they just come here at the very beginning because I've discovered that if I back the board first, that it's much easier for me to work on the painting, and that the painting's much more intact and sound when I bring it back to be cut and framed. Yeah. So it's, so you see my paintings at the very, very beginning and at the very end.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure, I mean, that's, it's a rewarding job here too, just seeing the stuff created. And then it's also fun now to add that element where we get to see them sell and tell someone the good news that, that somebody came in and bought all their, their pieces and that we're hoping they have a nice home.
Yeah, I hope they go to a good home. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. I think that's I think we'll continue to move towards that to be a hopefully to be a spot where people connect that are creating and buying art.
Oh, I think it will be. I think you'll be having artists asking you.
Yeah.
So
hopefully.
It's definitely a service to the community and a service to the art industry, which is.
That's what we're hoping to be, and we got some nice, some what do we call these, adult coloring books?
Yes.
We got the adult coloring books too. They're gonna give some of those away.
Yeah, I made those. Those were created. Backyard Birds and the Bunny were created for those were the sketches for the show at the James Library 10 years ago.
Yep.
And so over the years, I've created coloring books from those sketches and additional sketches. And so usually with a show, I have a coloring book page, something that goes with it.
That's awesome.
At the Art Complex Museum, I had coloring pages. At this past James show, I had a butterfly that everyone colored in and gave back to me, which I'm going to then turn into a big collage that they can use for their marketing purposes, cards, posters. So I'm working on
much like the paintings themselves, there's a lot of layers to it, right?
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I'm excited, and I'm glad people can kind of connect. People that see your stuff can go to that artist page that we have on the website and be kept up to date on all of your the shows and whatnot that you have coming up. I know that there's some in the works, and we'll when the time comes, we'll blast that out with our social media and try to bring awareness. But I would recommend people come by and see the stuff and follow you on social media as well.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming by. I think this was a great conversation, and I feel like we've had plenty of conversations prior, and hopefully we'll have a couple again, and
many more.
Maybe we'll record one of those.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. For
awesome.
Something fun coming up.
That's
Appreciate
great.
it, Dave. Thank you.
My pleasure.